Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Jayesh, and I'm the Managing Director at Valenza BPO. We're an outsourced staffing business where we provide back office staff who work as an extension of your team. Just going to give you a quick introduction today about our business, and I'll then introduce you to Shyam, who's an advisor based out of Edmonton. He's been using our services for over a year, and he'll tell you about how he uses it as well. Just got a quick video here from one of our clients.
Jayesh and his team and Valenza have been awesome. I wanted to shoot this video to be kind of a verbal testimonial to what they've done for us. Valenza's been great because it's been able to expand. It allows us to expand and contract our operations depending on the time of the year very effortlessly and inexpensively. And it's allowed us to make decisions that we know we can scale quickly on because we know Jayesh and his team at Valenza will be there for us. We're using them for both, mostly in the accounting space, but we have some plans to use his firm in financial services as well. So he's been well worth it. They're a great company. Very happy to have them as a partner.
Great, so just a little bit of background about how we started as well. I've got a background in engineering, and in 2011, I started a financial planning practice in a mining town in Australia. At that point in time, we realized there was a lot of back office work that needed to be done. And that's when we set up a business out of India. It was initially designed to help us out in our financial planning practice. Over a period of 3 years, we opened 3 offices in 3 different cities in Australia. And the back office was one of the drivers that helped us expand as well. So we realized there was potential for this for us to offer these services to financial advisors globally. So we did start off in the UK, in the US, and now in Canada as well. So that's just a little bit of a background about our business. We've got about 300 staff right now. We add anywhere between 8 to 10 staff each month, and we work with some large organizations as well, such as A1 Hewlett, Arthur J. Gallagher. We work with two of the big 4 in Australia as well. With that, I'll introduce you to Shyam, who's an advisor here, and he'll just talk about how he uses our services.
Hey everyone, my name is Shyam Ganesh. I am an advisor based in Edmonton. I started my career in the industry in 2013 as a life licensed as well as exempt market registered representative. And in 2017 I got my CFP, and I've just been slowly growing my practice out over the years. And of course, you know, I'm passionately retiring Canadians, and everything is rainbows and unicorns. Not exactly. As I grew my practice, what I found was actually happening was my workload in terms of paperwork and administration was a thing that was growing. And the reason I got into the business was to help families do better with their finances and get to their goals faster. And I was less able to do that 6 years into business than 2 years into business. Because there's all this servicing and all of this regulatory stuff that you know, we've been talking about and experiencing over the last few years. So I went through a few cycles of trying to figure out how to solve that problem. It included hiring staff locally. It included looking at outsourcing firms like Valenza. And about a year ago, I met Jayesh and someone else at Valenza at a conference in the US, a financial planning conference in the US. And I loved what they had to offer. I loved the price point. And I'll talk a little bit about initially what the tasks are that, you know, the 3 areas of my practice: financial planning, investments, and insurance. What it is that I outsource and how. And I'll try to, you know, just give you an idea of like what are some key differentiators or key reasons why I chose Valenza. So starting off here, this is a real example. So this is my financial planning process. And I know there's a lot of text on the screen, but I think everybody knows in this room like what a financial planning process looks like or what an insurance process looks like. So what I'll highlight is that the green are all of the tasks that I have been able to effectively outsource over the last year. So I meet with the client, gather the information, and all of the plan development in terms of inputting data into software, creating the booklets, the presentation plan, running scenarios even if it's not too complex. So again, if we're looking at a very complex, high net worth individual, and it's not just a family market, TFSA or RSP, then yes, I get involved in the financial planning process and creating the plan and the scenarios. But for the majority of the family market, it's actually quite easy to create a system whereby my assistant is able to take on a lot of the work. So I still oversee it before I present it, make some tweaks as I need to, and then we're off to the races. So that's on planning. The next one here is investments. So again, we all know how much paperwork investments can be, and how much processing there is along the way in terms of transfers and making sure that the right funds are invested in and the right monthly contributions are set up. So I do the meeting. Investments are actually amazing because you can outsource a good chunk of it. Okay, and last but not least, insurance. No shortage of paperwork there and compliance. So again, I work on key aspects that have to do with the client-facing activities. And a lot of the quoting, again, not complex cases, not super large cases, the family market. And if you have a particular type of product that you normally position based on your client profile, then that's trainable as well. If you're doing a lot of different types of things, then you might have to get involved in the quoting process. So a lot of the steps in creating the compliance documents, the reasons why, the needs analysis, getting it signed, uploading it into the MGA portals, all of that is handled by my assistant. So all of the green there. Okay, so as I continued to work with the company over the last year, I decided to go to India. I was going there anyway. I happened to be from there, grew up in India, and took a week to meet my dedicated assistant from Valenta in person, and also his supervisor. So on the left you can see Vaibhav. He's the manager, the financial planning manager for US and Canada. And in the middle is my assistant, Shyam. So the way the structure works, I train both of them together. Vaibhav has more than 5 years of experience in financial planning in the US, so he picks up on what I'm saying very quickly. And then he is there to answer questions that Shyam has on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not in the cycle of becoming the roadblock in every step of the way, answering questions, and things aren't moving if I'm not there. So I will point out that these guys usually have masters in finance or MBA, so they're quite highly capable from a technical point of view. They can always use training in our individual processes and the way we do our business. But really the challenge for me has been how much am I willing to outsource? So I was afraid to outsource a lot of the technical things with financial planning initially. And that was a mistake because I was still getting in my own way. Because they have the capacity to take that on. And I didn't have the courage to let it go. So the result of being able to implement the structure in my business has been that for the first time in my 7 years in the industry, I am now doing insurance cases in the few $10,000, where I was doing $1,000 policy here, $1,000 policy there. This year I've placed several $20,000, $30,000 policies, and I would not have had the time to really focus on business development and the more complex cases if I was stuck in paperwork across my entire business. Okay, so pricing, really important. So Valenta employs 300 employees. Their staff, all of the equipment is provided, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And it's $2,000 a month Canadian for a full-time 40-hour-a-week person. And part-time, 20 hours is $1,000 a month. So I don't know if you know, a lot of you may have experience hiring or may want to grow your businesses further. So this is not just to replace existing staff, this is to grow your practice. So there's a lot of ways to structure and utilize the service that's available. And I liked it so much that I signed on to be the Canadian representative, and this is actually our launch in Alberta. So I'm really pleased to be doing that here in Calgary with all of you, and thank you to IFB for their support in allowing us to be up here, and thank you all for taking a few minutes to listen. And if you do have any questions at all, our booth is just in that corner of the room, and we would love to chat further. Thank you so much.